Bill Gentry. Oh my.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Wow. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a long time since I joined one of these. I keep forgetting about them because they're
It
online.
has.
You're looking well.
Thank you. Thank you. So are you. Oh.
Hey, John.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. You excited?
Yeah.
Ready?
Pumped. Let me get my speaker going better here. Yeah, it's been a long time since I did one of these.
So somebody rooked you into talking?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm happy to do it. It was fun. It was a good reflection. I always learn something when I do these.
Oh, yeah. I figure one of the best ways to learn something deeply is to say that you're going to do a talk about it. You're going to do
Exactly.
400 hours of research.
Right, right. Fortunately, this was not quite one of those, but it was a good reflection. Not 400 hours, though.
That's good.
Yeah. I see Laz. Hi.
I have to unmute. How are you? Are you ready?
Ready. Hope I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm sure you're ready. You're going to do amazing. Always do amazing.
Oh, thanks. Oh gosh, my cat's gonna be behind me the whole time. I hope he doesn't ruin it.
No, I think that enhances it.
You get extra bonus points for that.
That's right.
Bonus points for cat appearance. He gets excited when I am talking on a Zoom, and there's kind of, if I lock him out of the room, he'll just beg at the door like a dog. So it's kind of nothing I can do about it.
Better off just letting him in.
Yeah.
Must be the last meetup of the year because we're getting all the old school folks showing up too. I haven't seen AD in a while. He's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Turn off the waiting rooms so people can just come on in. So Lydia, I'll do my my typical kickoff spiel and then I'll throw it at you.
Cool.
Drop knowledge on these folks.
Hopefully it's not too rambly. But yeah, that sounds great, John.
I took a nap, so I am ready to go.
Ooh, that's good. I needed a nap. I was up like half the night wrapping packages to mail, and it was a lot.
Let's go wait one more minute. Give a couple of folks. All right, well, we are recording, so anybody who misses the beginning can always jump back in at the end. So welcome to the final of the WordPress meetup of the year. Not the final. I guess that's a terrible way to start that off. I don't want to do that. It's just the final one of the year, which actually isn't entirely true because if you happen to join the one where we paired up with the folks down in Florida, they are doing another one, and I can't remember the date, but it's I think it's next week. I'll get the date while Lydia's doing her presentation. I'll get the date for you. But they have been growing, and I think their last month was like 100+ people on their meetup. So that's pretty cool. My name's Sean Hawkins. If you don't know me already, if you're new here, welcome. I am going to share my screen and just do a little bit of the housekeeping just to kind of let you know who we are and what we do here. You obviously found us, which means you're already signed up on meetup.com, most likely. But if you don't know, we have a website, WP Vegas. All of these sessions are being recorded, and we put the notes, or we put the video up here on our blog. Also from here, this is kind of like our home base and launching pad for everything else that we do. If you've got ideas or anything for topics, or you want to be a presenter on future meetup, you can hit me up through the contact form here. We also have links to Meetup, Facebook, and Twitter, which if you haven't been, our Meetup group is a great place on Facebook to ask questions during the month. I will tell you that during the month of January, I typically take off from Facebook because there is I don't really care for the memories that it likes to throw up for me during that month. So I will be off of Facebook for the month of January, but you can find me in our Slack channel, which there is a form. It is an invite only. So just click on Slack, fill this out, and I'll get you added to our Slack channel. It is growing in popularity, which is nice. We keep getting a couple of new people each month. So it's another great place to just ask questions. And it is where I hang out more often than Facebook these days anyway. And we do have a fairly dormant Twitter account too, which one of these days, I keep saying that I'm going to like maybe hook something up so that stuff like auto posts that I find, yeah, that just has never happened. So follow on Twitter if you like, but don't expect a flood of things. One other cool thing that is happening is, by the way, I'm sharing my screen, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I guess I should have asked that before I got this far into it. But tomorrow morning, if you're kind of new to the WordPress community, or if you haven't been to any of the WordPress WordCamp events, WordCamp US, Matt Mullenweg, founder of WordPress, he does an annual State of the Word, and since WordCamp US got canceled this year for obvious reasons, he is doing this one online, and it is taking place tomorrow morning. If you want to watch it live, I'm sure it'll be saved, but if you do want to watch it live, it will be tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And if you go to wordpress.org and you click on blog, you'll be able to find this post with State of the Word, and that is these are all of the links for Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where it will be streamed. So pick one and go. These are a very interesting presentation. He gives a lot of thought. He puts a lot of thought into these, does a really nice job of kind of recapping what has happened over the past year in the WordPress community, and also a bit of a roadmap for what maybe the next 12 months of kind of the big rocks that they're going to try to move inside of the WordPress development. Like, you figure about 3 major releases a year, so they typically have those focused on one particular main key point, and that's, he'll talk about those. They're pretty interesting. Some folks have already asked questions. He takes questions, and they're typically pretty good. It's a pretty good time. So if you can check that out, I would say that it's well worth your time. Tonight, we've got one presentation, which is going to be from Lydia Roberts, which I'm going to hand it over to her in just a second. And then after that, I have a very minor, quick little presentation that I'm going to give, and it's more of a demo than anything else, not really a presentation. And then after that's all over, we are going to open up the floor to a Q&A. So if you have questions that you've been dying to ask, get them ready. Now's a good time. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Lydia, and she's going to be talking about design best practices. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. Design tips and tools.
There you go. Awesome. Take it away. It's all you.
Awesome.
By the way, I'm sorry. I will watch the chat for you. So if anything comes in, if you have any questions for Lydia, feel free to type them into the chat, or you can always unmute and ask questions. So,
awesome.
Carry on.
Cool. Great. So let me kind of get situated here. I'm going to share the screen. Let's see. Are folks seeing my screen with a big turquoise presentation on?
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Let me move let's move that little thing out of the way. Awesome. Well, and by the way, I have two monitors, so you might see me kind of looking in different directions, so I can see your faces on my other screen. But thank you, John, for letting me speak tonight. And thanks to Darcy, I believe, for asking me a design question in the last meetup. She kind of volunteered me to speak, and that was a good push for me. So tonight I do have a few slides. I sort of couldn't help myself on the slide front here. So I do have some slides. Mostly they're just rules of thumb that I'm gonna talk about. And I also have all the tools and all the things we're gonna look at tonight are free. And I have those listed on a slide. So I'm gonna kind of go back and forth between my slides and looking at some tools and examples. So just really quick, I'm Lydia. I'm a web designer. I create and build websites on WordPress. I do a lot with MailChimp. I create custom graphics for people and templates inside of MailChimp. And I'm originally from North Carolina, so some of the examples we'll look at are just a couple of my clients, because that was easy for me to pull as an example, and that's kind of why everybody's from North and South Carolina on my examples. Trying to go to the next slide. There we go. Okay, great. So, okay, actually this is the next slide and it's a little out of order. I was thinking a lot about the movie Elf recently, so I couldn't resist. Yeah, go Elf. Couldn't resist dropping a picture in here. So kind of the overall theme of this talk is that consistent design gets noticed. Consistent design stands out in a crowd. And here I'm talking about web design specifically. And this will relate to WordPress, but it's kind of an overall design talk. So I hope this you can apply this in different parts of your website and social media. Okay, so these three things here to me are really what makes a web design. And I haven't even included things like WordPress theme or even a logo or layout here. To me, the three things that really make a web design come together are the photography, color, and fonts that you choose. And just real quick with photography, I feel like that's definitely the #1 thing that can really make or break a design. And what I mean by that is basically when you have a custom photography done for your client or your business, if you're building your own website, when you have custom photos made of your products or your store or you, if you're kind of selling yourself as a service, like you're a business coach or something like that, that level of customization will really draw people into you and your business. People know when they're looking at stock photos, and we all know there's a lot of bad stock photos out there. So to me, custom photography is always something that I look for, and I really encourage people to like spring for that if they're gonna have to choose between different things in their marketing budget. So when people ask me what's the one thing I can do to improve my website, I say photography, get photography done. And then color, obviously, having a color palette for your brand, for your company, and then consistently using those colors across everything that you do, social media, your Facebook graphics, your newsletter, and of course your website, and even print pieces, being consistent about that color usage. And then lastly, fonts. I think that using a font or typeface that stands out can really become part of your brand, and it can become really recognizable to people. And even using something simple like Open Sans or something that everybody knows can be interesting if you vary that font using different weights, like super bold and super light. And the one sort of tip I'll say here is, this is something I've done on a couple of sites for people who didn't really need logos, is we just used a font for their logo. So they either couldn't afford a logo, they didn't have like a branding package, or they just didn't really feel like they needed one. So I'm gonna try to show an example of, hopefully y'all can still see my screen, right? Okay, cool.
Yep.
So this is a client of mine. She's a psychotherapist, and she didn't really feel like she needed a whole, logo with like illustration all over it. It's just her name, right? She's Pamela. So we just kind of used this nice font. I've done a business card for her, and her site is very simple too, but she does have custom photography made of her office and objects in her office. And I felt like that was important because people visit her site, they can already kind of see like her office, so they can see where they're going to meet with Pamela. So they start to kind of connect with her and her space. Cool. So I kind of already mentioned these things here. Oop. Sorry, not sure how to get that little thing to go away. There we go. So yeah, we kind of talked about this already, is that consistency. Being consistent about using your brand's colors, photos, icons, fonts. This is something where I see like fails of this all the time, even from big companies. I see it with email newsletters a lot, where I'll get to like an email subscription preferences page or something for like a big company. I'm trying to update my preferences, and it's like this horrible, ugly page that has like no branding, like you wouldn't even know what company it was for. And these things kind of create a disconnect between you and that brand, because you might question like, ooh, am I even in the right place right now? Like, I don't see the company logo. I'm not really sure where I'm at. And this kind of brings me to the second point here, which is that you should look for branding opportunities in places that you might not normally think. So things even like Zoom, Acuity Scheduler, PayPal, all of these online services have some kind of branding that you can add. There's usually a place where you can upload a logo or a photo. Zoom has the little, photo that you can add, so that if you're not showing your video, it will show a photo of you. You could also choose to show your logo there. And then things like Acuity Scheduler, it's nice to brand that because a lot of people link from their websites over to a scheduling tool. So that's just something to think about. It's something my clients often don't think about. And as we're kind of clicking through their site, making sure everything's working, we like to go through all those like third-party tools and make that a more consistent experience for people. Okay, cool. So this is more of like the demo part of the talk, and I have a lot of tools. Probably don't have time to show all of these, and some of these are kind of doubles of each other. They're just different options. So these are all free, and even though I'm, a professional web designer and I pay for Photoshop and Illustrator, I use these free tools all the time. And sometimes I set my clients up with some of these tools like Canva that we'll look at. So I'm going to, again, kind of flip out of here. And let's look at, some of these are color tools, some are photo tools, and some are kind of mix. So this is Coolors, coolors.co. And by the way, I will share, this presentation is just like a Google slide, and I'm gonna drop the link into the chat when I'm done. And I can update it if we come up with other tools in the Q&A. Coolors is a free color resource. If you're not a designer, which I imagine probably the majority of you are not, you can find palettes on here that are really nice, and you can go ahead and use them. There's this thing that they have, the main tool inside of here is this color generator. It'll open up for me, and it kind of lets you explore different colors and shades, and woohoo!
Live demos. Come on.
At least it's not my website.
That's right, exactly.
Cool. Maybe that particular, let's try this pretty like deserty color palette. This reminds me of Nevada. And while that's thinking about it, I will show you my palettes that I've got saved in here. So I've actually only just started using this a few months ago. And what I did, a lot of my clients don't have style guides. A style guide is it's usually a PDF, and it's got things like a brand's logo and their colors and how to use those colors in print and on the web. And sometimes it has some guidelines about fonts and different things like that. A lot of my clients just don't have one of those. And so there's not like an easy place where I can reference their colors. And so I'll go ahead and load it into Coolors, which again, I don't know if this is gonna let me do. Yay! So this is a client, Just Economics, and they already had branding. Let me show you there. So here's their site. This is a nonprofit in Asheville. And we actually use, this is a stock photo, by the way, of Asheville. And their site is very simple. They needed, their main priority was to be able to edit easily. their old site was like 3 different sites patchworked together awkwardly, and it was just a nightmare for them to edit. So anyway, I lost my train of thought there, but this, you know, they already had this logo, but what I did is I put their colors into here because it was just an easy reference. And then what I could do is come into the shades tool, and I ended up using some lighter shades, especially of the green. Ended up using that in different places on their site, like these little boxes, just for a little bit of contrast. Their site is very text heavy. So I just wanted a couple colors that weren't necessarily part of their logo, but it still went along with their logo. One more thing with coolers, and I'm wondering if it'll let me do it. Okay, so what I just did is I pressed spacebar and all the colors regenerated. This is a way, this is sort of a built-in thing of this tool where you can just keep clicking spacebar and it'll keep giving you colors. And I might say, you know, I like this blue-green, like this kind of greenish gray. And so I locked those. And now I'm clicking spacebar again, and it's giving me, it's keeping these two, but it's generating others. So anyway, this is a really fun tool just to play around with. And then when you're done, you can save the palettes, and that's how I kind of have all those palettes saved in there.
I have a question for you. When you create one of these, if it's you who's actually creating it for a client, do you then also just share this out with them, being like, hey, here's your colors, don't screw it up once I hand this over to you?
Yeah, great question. So the really cool thing about it is it's got an export feature on it. So kind of reopen this because I had, yeah, here we go. Let's see, export palette. And then there's all these different options. So I usually choose PDF for them. And there's different, you could even give these colors names. So I could call it like, yeah, like Just Economics green, or I would probably call it like Sprout green. You can even give them colors. You could uncheck some of the things you don't need. There's all kinds of different things it'll spit out for you. Let's see what it does here. So it's probably hard to
awesome.
Yeah, it says Sprout green there. I probably wouldn't include whatever this page is.
Yeah.
What's going on there. Or this page. I might have had like gradients selected or something, but yeah, pretty cool.
So what's funny is this is a tool that I've actually used. I've used coolers before, but not to the extent that you are. It's awesome.
Well, cool. Yeah, had you used that export feature before?
Never even saw it. I'm sure I saw it and just glazed right over it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely easy to. Their interface is a little wonky. It took me a really long time to figure out how, there's no way from here to delete the palette. And that drove me insane until I figured out you have to open the palette and then you can delete it, which seems really weird. So I think maybe they're still kind of working it out, but I appreciate that this is free. I used to use a different color tool, and I think it's called Color Lovers, and I'm not sure if it's still alive and kicking. Let's see, and real quick, there is another one that's very similar called Color Mind. make sure I'm on the homepage. That's a really beautiful palette, actually. And it works similarly. You can lock colors. And then I think instead of pressing spacebar, you click this button here. This has kind of less options in terms of exporting, I believe. But the benefit of this one and how I found it is this image upload feature. One day a client came to me and she didn't really have photography. She didn't even have a logo, but she had this photo that she had taken outside of her home. And it was this beautiful like sunset scene in the North Carolina mountains. And she was like, I really like the colors in this photo. And so I, open it up in Photoshop, and I use, there's an eyedropper tool in Photoshop where you can click on a part of a picture and grab colors out of it. And I used to do that for years. And I was like, I bet there's a ton of different free tools that will just choose the colors for you. And that's what this does. So let me show you. And this is actually not the photo that my client sent me, but it is a sunset photo. And so it just generated that palette based on this free stock photo. And I think you can keep clicking generate. I think it's choosing. I can't tell if it's choosing new photos or if it's just reorganizing them. I think it's choosing slightly different
Yeah,
ones.
they're new. They're different.
Cool. Yeah, so that's another one. There's no export tool that I found, so I just usually copy and paste these hex codes. So if you're a developer or you're like me, you're like a designer that's also building the site, you can copy and paste these into WordPress or into a style sheet or just a little notes sheet. And real quick, one more in the same vein as this is this one. I like this generator because it kind of looks like it's from 1998 or something, but it's actually kind of a better tool than the one that I just showed because it gives you different palettes. It gives you a light palette, medium, and dark. This is some default image that it starts with, but you can click these colors and they kind of populate down here on the bottom. So you can kind of see that. Their export, I don't think works. I've clicked, okay, it's saying it was a sample image. I've tried it with my own image and it just doesn't seem to, it gives me like a blank style sheet. So I don't know if that's just me or what's up with that. But again, you can copy and paste these. So I would say the use case for this is useful if, you're in a scenario where maybe you do have a couple images of your products or of the company whose website you're building, but maybe they don't really have branding. And you need like a starting point. This is a nice starting point. And obviously it's a tool if you're going to use specific images on the site and you kind of want the colors to go along with that image. Okay, let's check out Canva. If we were like in a room together, I'd be like, who has used Canva? But okay, John's used Canva. William, Darcy, and I don't know how to, Laz has used it. I don't know how to see more people on here. Cool. Yeah, I think Canva is pretty widely used and known. It is free. There is a pro version. I think one or two of my clients have the pro because they needed some of those features. I'm logged in to a client right now who said, yeah, go ahead and show my Canva on this presentation, and she does not have the pro version. So this is the free. Let's see, first I just wanted to show you. So to kind of explain what Canva is, it's a free image tool, really. Most of what I see people using it for are kind of what we're looking at here, Instagram and other social media type graphics, because it has thousands and thousands of templates already built in that you can either just use or what they really kind of want you to do is choose, I just clicked on one, choose a template and come in here and you can start customizing it to your heart's content. And it's really user friendly because you don't have to learn a photo editing tool like Photoshop. It's very, I think, pretty intuitive, and I have a lot of clients that use this just on their own.
I think one of my favorite aspects of using these, the ones that are already done, is the fact that they've already picked the fonts and the font weights and font sizes. So it's just so simple for a non-designer like myself.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and they're nice designs too. It's not like, you know,
Right.
they just threw together a couple like crappy designs. Like they're really nicely done, and there's like endless variety of them. So it really is, you can probably find something that matches your brand. I mean, I saw this one and I was like, this almost matches the client. The colors don't quite match, but yeah, and you can, and there's thousands of fonts in here. I think it pulls in, I might be wrong, but I feel like it actually pulls in more than what's just in Google Fonts. It really has a lot. Has a lot in here. So the reason why Canva is nice is because once you have that color palette and those photos, you can load them into Canva, and then you can take designs like this, but you can start swapping in your own photos, and you can even use your own colors and fonts. So this particular, let's see if it'll let me, this particular client, we've loaded in 3 of her brand colors, which is I think all you're allowed on the free account. And so she uses gold and purple. These are her main colors. And we have this kind of lighter pink. So she could start swapping out Canva's colors for her colors. And then we kind of loaded her fonts. It's a little weird in here. In the free account, I don't think you can set fonts as your default. She uses serif, which is a Google font. So she could start changing that. If I get rid of this background, if you go to uploads, you can see all of her photos, and she has really gorgeous custom photography. And you can move things backwards or forwards. So this isn't really a lemon squeeze ad, but anyway, that's kind of a start. And I would, you know, probably position all this a bit differently if this were a real graphic I was creating. So you can see how powerful this is. You can then export this in different formats. You can download a PNG or JPEG. I'm even designing a business card for somebody in Canva right now, which is kind of interesting for me. I normally use Illustrator for that. So let me show you real quick one more thing with Canva. So this brand kit area, again, they want you to upgrade rather to really take full advantage of this, which is a little unfortunate that you have to pay. If you were to pay, you could upload your own logo, you could upload more colors, and you could upload your own custom fonts. So that's really nice. But she's gotten really far off of just what we're able to do. So she actually creates PDFs in here, and she sells online courses, and each course has multiple PDFs that go along with it. So I set up a few templates for her, and then she just kind of gets in here and goes nuts. So she has this really consistent brand because everything is already loaded in for her, and she's not trying to like recreate this every time in Microsoft Word or something like that. I even created some Instagram like style graphics that she could start from if she wanted to. Alrighty, let's see. Looked at that. Well, maybe, heck, maybe we will get through it all. John, you just let me go with the time, so you tell me if we're
You have to be finished by 8. That's it.
Okay.
7:30.
Well, I promise to not hold y'all all hostage to design stuff. Any questions so far? I'm just kind of moving and grooving along here.
So again, going back to Canva for a second, I had no idea about the brand stuff. I am curious, with the brand stuff, do you know if it's possible for, like, let's say that you, as a person who has multiple clients, is there a way for you to kind of like section it off and have like a brand for client A and a brand for client B and a brand for client C? And I see Darcy over there shaking her head vigorously.
Darcy is nodding vigorously. I would say, Darcy, would you like to speak to that?
That's why I upgraded on Canva, so I can keep the assets differentiated. And if I'm getting on Zoom with a client, then they're just seeing, you know, I'm not like, oh wait, don't look at that stuff.
Right,
So it makes
right.
it a lot easier. And it does just have so much more functionality and the access to the stock images.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. I have a lifetime subscription to Usign, which was great, but with Flash ending and they haven't quite migrated over. It just, for the $12 a month, it's $12 or $13 a month. The time that it saved me was,
Yeah.
much as I hate paying it because I have a gazillion other tools. Canva's, I
Mhm.
think because of COVID, because of so many people being online and using it, so many teachers and everything too, is that they have extra money now, so they've dumped a lot of extra stuff into it. It's really come a long way in the last half year. So yes, you can, I don't know that I want to log in and share screen to show, but I do have, differentiated
That's
client
cool.
sections. So you
Yeah,
can run it. No, it's good for agencies. It's definitely good for agencies. And I don't know whether it showed, if you were able to show that, or if you piloted that, even it looked like on the free, you could still, it would extract what the colors are from a picture too. It recognizes like, oh, these colors are in this image.
Yeah.
And that's beneficial for then kind of toggling from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has that feature. Try to show that real quick because I like that a lot too, Darcy. It's really cool.
One thing while she's loading that is, the other thing is just the amount of animations that this has in Canva now. They do a really good job for animations, and you can save things as GIFs and stuff like that. GIFs, whatever you want. So there you see document colors.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, is that it automatically recognizes, if you uploaded a picture, it's going to recognize the key colors. And yeah, she said right here it only showing 3, but with the Pro, I think it pulls in a few more of the, let's see if it,
That's super cool.
Because it was like a simple picture.
yeah, maybe.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's fun playing with the, oh, okay, yeah, it pulled them.
Yeah,
There's way more color in this one, I
Okay.
guess.
Yeah.
that's very
It's
cool.
fun. You can animate things too. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't played with that too much. I know that some of the templates like have, well, this is for a poster design, so we're not going to see it here, but if you load in like a Instagram story or something, it'll like already have some cute little animations as part of the graphic. So yeah, thanks for highlighting the document colors, because that is a really cool tool for sure. So you could load in your own icons or graphics here, and it would just kind of automatically pull the colors out for you.
while we're looking, I don't know what else you have in your presentation, Lydia, but one thing I was kind of nominating you for was even just look, because what we're looking at is kind of what I had in mind, where a lot of websites have that, I call it scrapbook. I don't know. There's probably some other term from that flat animation. They're that flat image style that's just everywhere. And how to, I don't know if you finished your if you're just sticking on the colors or going through more, but I'm hoping that before the end of today, you could say on how to differentiate, if you did use that style of flat imaging, how to differentiate it, that it still has character, that people recognize it as your brand and not like, oh my God, I don't even have a clue what website I'm on, because they all look the same these days.
Okay. Yeah, I had a couple more things to go through, and then I'd love to try to address that. I don't know if I have like the answer, but I think it's a great topic that you brought up, because there are trends, and I am going to talk about trends a little bit, and that might kind of like dovetail into your question. Cool. So I just had a couple more of these. And again, I feel like this is one that like just everyone in the like
Type in Neon Brand.
Neon Brand. Oh, have we talked about this before? I mean, I'm sure Unsplash is just everywhere.
They load, it's actually an SEO
Oh,
trick.
search for them. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Neon Brand has good SEO, so just a little tip for y'all.
Nice. So this is like an easy way of finding some Vegas stuff in here, it looks like. That's cool. So what I'm actually showing you with Unsplash is not exactly a hack, but this is something I do a lot. So going back to that website, again, this was just like a handy example. This website, Just Economics, they are a nonprofit. They had no custom photography. We built the site this year during COVID, and you know, there's no opportunity really for them to like go out and take photos of their advocacy work and things like that. But we wanted just a couple things on the site, especially like little header kind of accents like this, just to give it something, just to have some color and just a little bit of personality there. So the way that I find photos like this is often by, let's see if I can go back, is I'll search for a color. So instead of searching for a thing, like I didn't necessarily know that I wanted a picture of a sprout or something like even a plant. But if you search for a color, you'll start to find things that especially can work nice as like a background, kind of a maybe a subtle sort of background to more of a text area. I like photos like this This effect is called bokeh. It's like a photography effect that happens when you're not focusing, like you're kind of focusing on something else and it's blurring the background. I've done this with my own brand before. I'll search for turquoise, which is kind of my brand color. And I'll start to find just free graphics on here. I've used this one because it's a cactus. And I'll start to find graphics that I can use like on social media or as like a little blog post header. These images are all free. You can download them in different sizes. And so that's just kind of a quick tip. Obviously, you know, you could search for a specific thing, like if you needed, you know, like a picture of a bus or people doing different things. They actually have nice, like stay at home and like COVID pictures. A lot of people have uploaded like artwork and even illustrations to Unsplash.
Question for you.
Mhm.
What you've done, by the way, brilliant. Doing a search for color, that's awesome. I'm curious, underneath where it says turquoise there, and it's got those buttons, do those end up filtering? So like if I click on accessory, like outdoor or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Let's
Does
see.
it? Oh, no.
I think it didn't. Yeah, I
It
don't think
didn't.
it's filtering
Darn.
down. I know. That would
That would have
be
been so cool.
super cool. Maybe you should
I'll call them.
tweet them. I feel like that's a Twitter
Yeah.
usage or something. Yeah, that would be really neat if you could kind of drill down. I know what you're saying. I
Yeah.
think they kind of just give you like, if I click, yeah.
It's just suggestions of new searches.
Mm-hmm.
I like your idea better, so I'm going to use that.
Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, I wish that this is cool. It is kind of drilling down. Like I clicked on Iceland and now it's like, you might like, you know, Reykjavik, which is in Iceland. And then there's a famous church in Iceland. So it is kind of drilling down, but it's not, wasn't filtering it by color. And it ended up just searching church and not the church in Iceland that everybody knows, which is.
There's, if you X out of that, there was, I did see any color to the right, top right, just below submit a photo.
Ooh, okay.
There's a turquoise. Oh, she selected blue. I thought you'd go for the turquoise there.
Let's go for the turquoise.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little too specific because I'm under
Reykjavik.
Reykjavik. let's go. Let's see. What if we were in nature, but we wanted something teal?
All right.
All right, we're getting closer. That's awesome, Darcy. I don't know why I never really noticed that one because I always use this one where I'm like always looking for landscape and not portrait, because on the website you normally need like or at least I do, kind of a section background. So I want something really wide and not something tall. So I use this filter. This is super cool.
So great.
Is that a featured photo on the left though? Because that doesn't look very teal and it says Chewy. So I wonder if
It
that's
says
how
sponsored. Yeah.
Sponsored.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, good
That is
call.
sponsored,
That
but
is-
yeah, it's like that's just you're talking about congruency and that's not congruent.
One of these does not match the others for sure. Guess that's it for the filters. That's pretty cool that you can do. Get some Ansel Adams kind of style up in there. And they do.
So
So
good.
yeah, pretty awesome. Go ahead, John. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was thinking it's so good. So good. I forgot I wasn't on mute, sorry.
All good. Love the enthusiasm. Let's see here.
Again, it's just these are tools that I use on a regular basis, and you're like, hey, by the way, you missed these 27 other features it has.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is
like-
why these presentations are so awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, we all learn this way. That's why I love the WordPress meetup groups. So great. Let's see here. Okay, there was one thing I didn't, well, I did list it here. I'm not gonna take you through this tutorial, but this is maybe like my favorite discovery of the past few months, and who knows how long this has been a possibility. This was published in April, but what this is it's a tutorial for developers, and it's about how to add your custom color palette to Gutenberg. So we're finally talking about WordPress, yay. So I want to show you an example instead of kind of taking you through the tutorial. Let's just look at Just Economics again. And their homepage is actually built with Elementor. So that's why I had this mission page open. So I did this through, we have a child theme, and I implemented these colors into the Gutenberg editor via the child theme. Let's take a look. So if I click into any block, I get this color tab over here. And these colors should kind of look familiar by now because I've shown y'all the color palette. So if I wanted to give this paragraph a background, and what I like about it is it'll even warn you here, like this isn't super readable white text on this like really bright green. So it's saying this color combination may be hard for people to read. So you would probably want to choose something like that. And you can change the text color and the background color. So what's great about this is that what I love about it is that it makes it easier for the client, because once I train them, they know how to make, you know, their own blocks and they know how to add color. But unless they're just feeling super crafty, they're not gonna come in here really and start adding custom colors. They already have their colors and they're set, and it's gonna keep their branding super consistent across the whole site. As a designer, nothing is more frustrating than coming back to a site you built a couple months later and seeing like random colors. Darcy's giving me a good nod, seeing like random colors being used and even like random fonts. So I try everything I can to kind of not necessarily lock people in, but give them a nice little nudge in the right direction. And I believe that you can even, maybe I've done it here, or maybe this isn't an area where you can add a gradient, but you can deactivate some things in Gutenberg through the code as well. So you can like deactivate the gradient option. It looks like I did because I see a gradient here. And one question I had, so anyway, this is a tutorial, it's linked. He even gives the, like a SAS, like a super shorthand way of doing it. And I had been using a different tutorial, so I learned that I could do it in a easier way here with SAS. And he gives some tips on styling the buttons, which drive me crazy in Gutenberg, because they are just, they don't really take styling from anywhere, and I always have to do it through CSS. So he kind of gives some pointers for buttons. The thing I wanted to ask the group is, I had seen a plugin that does this same thing. So in other words, it would let you customize the palette without having to to like touch code because I know not everybody here is a developer. And when I went back to find that plugin, all those plugins were like hadn't been updated, you know, in the past like 3-4 major versions and that kind of thing. So does anyone like know off the top of their head if there's a plugin? Have you used
I
a plugin?
just found one that hasn't been updated in 9 months, but 9 months is sooner than what you were seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one called Color Palette. I'll drop the ones that I found real quick in the chat, and then your mileage may vary. I have not tried these.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I haven't either. I don't know how I had even come across it, but I was trying to find a plugin version, and it just kind of no good to me when I see that things haven't, you know, it wasn't tested with WordPress 5.6, which just came out, and so I wasn't feeling good about winging it with that. Okay, and then I won't show all this, but just real quick on fonts. So we've talked, this has sort of been like a color and photography talk. And actually, you know what? This one is a little busy for me. Let me show the other. I gave a couple options here. This is like a Google font pairing tool. And I use things like this, even though, you know, I've got like most of these fonts downloaded on my computer. It's just like an easier way of seeing the font combination. So it'll give you a heading and body text, and you can just kind of scroll through, or you can use these little filters. So if you wanted something kind of traditional looking, you might want a serif and a serif, which are kind of these more, well, we're not going to get all into font like lingo, but anyway, these sort of more traditional, think like Times New Roman style fonts, or if you wanted something. And
Did you know that you can edit that right there? You just type in the Playfair. Yeah, just start typing.
That is very cool, and I had no idea.
This is my favorite site.
Is it? Oh, and then you can,
for fonts, there's nothing better. I go to the Sans and just go to town.
Sans and go to town.
Yep.
Love it. That's great, and you can download directly from here instead of having to go to back to Google Fonts and like search. That is really cool. I don't even know if I had come to this one before, because I've used this one, which kind of, it's very like designy looking, which is cool, but also can be a little distracting, to be honest, because it's nice. It's almost more like Canva, where it's like showing you an example of how it could be used on a website. And I don't think it is not editable. So that is very cool. And I think it kind of goes on and on. Is there any other, is that sort of the main feature of that? Is there anything else to this?
Those are the two. Like almost always, I'm going to end up using Google Fonts anyway. So I'll typically will find, just for getting to see what two different things are going to look like, I'll typically take like a client's header and their first block, and I'll bring it in here. I'll just type it into a bunch of places and just see how it feels, and then grab those. Or what I'll do is I'll take that and I'll take like 4 or 5 screenshots of the different blocks and then show them to the client and say, here's this combo, here's that combo.
Nice.
Let them pick. Again, just kind of putting up the guardrails. You're like, here's some ones that are going to work together. You pick the one that you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that mode of operating. I've done a similar thing. I think I've kind of done it in a clunkier, like more manual way where I did it in Illustrator. So this is nice because you can just do it right here, take the screenshot, move on.
Yep.
Cool. Well, how about that? We made it through those. So I only have a couple more slides, and we might kind of start addressing Darcy's question as well. So other ways, we kind of talked about standing out by just having really strong branding and repeating that branding. So using that branding across all of your platforms, right? Your website, your social media, your email newsletters, even like fussy little tools like Zoom or Acuity Scheduler. So these are just some other ideas. And some of these get into more like paid options. So again, I'm just gonna say it again, use custom photography instead of stock photos. And another thing you can do is video. And I had just randomly found a site that used kind of a cool video, and I'm not sure if I still have it. My massive list of tabs. Let me see. Here we go. I thought this was a cool video. I don't know like what this site is, by the way, but it was listed in the Elementor showcase. Elementor is a WordPress theme builder, like page builder, rather. And they featured this site actually is using very consistent branding. So I clicked on it, and I liked how this video was kind of different. It wasn't just like a static embedded YouTube video, but it's kind of subtle. It's not like super, I don't find it super irritating. And I'm really usually, I'm the one who's like, stop this auto playing video. So I kind of liked that. I thought that made it, even though this design is like extremely clean and simple, I thought they did a cool thing with this video here. And they also are extremely consistent about their color usage. So just very clean. They have like three colors basically. Let's see here. All right, another thing you can do is, I love using paid fonts. So Google Fonts is great because there's thousands of fonts in there, and you can find kind of some gems in there that you don't see get used often. But what I really love to do is maybe use like one custom font on a site, one paid font. It's usually really not that expensive because you can buy the web font license, and it's like a one-time fee. You know, it might be like $80 or something like that, and you don't have to pay yearly typically. So I use myfonts.com, and I'll show a quick example of a custom font. Let's see. This is a client of mine. Again, I just picked this because it was easy, and I know that the font that I used was custom. But this is a custom font for all of their headings. And fun fact, this is actually a Unsplash stock photo in the background. It's on the background of every single page, and I did Photoshop it somewhat heavily. There were all these things in the water, and I took those out. But I just felt like it kind of took you into the site. This is a natural medicine clinic and Medi Spa. So I just wanted it to be kind of like this calming, almost like breath of air when you land on this site. So that's an example of a non-custom photo that I think worked pretty well. Another thing you can do is use a simple CSS animation. And I probably shouldn't have used the word simple here because it's not always simple to do an animation. But what I meant was kind of, it doesn't have to be a crazy animation where, you know, like, I don't know, like a bird takes flight or something across your webpage. It could literally be like kind of a subtle piece of movement. I think that Stripe.com has some nice examples. That's kind of like the classic, like ever since a couple years ago, every designer on the planet is just, you know, in love with that Stripe website. And when you hover over things, I think that there's some subtle animations that happen. It's been a little while since I looked. Yep, I saw it. It was subtle. That was very subtle too. As I'm kind of going down, there's some different things happening here. There used to be, yeah, I like these little guys here. The little gear is spinning. So it's pretty subtle, but it's just kind of like beautiful, and their use of color and typography is just, I mean, it's really nice for like a payment gateway. You wouldn't really think that they would have such beautiful design. It's definitely different from like PayPal.com, which is a little bit more traditional design. So check out CodePen.io. And again, this is kind of more for like developers, but you can search for different animations. Like if you wanted to figure out how to make like a gear spin or something, there's thousands of examples on CodePen. And it's free. And then lastly, I love to do this. I love to ignore trends and prioritize the usability of the site. So a lot of times you'll see trends like, you know, maybe like a huge video on the homepage that just automatically starts playing and there's like tons of movement. I could see that being great for some things in Vegas, actually. That would be appropriate, something kind of flashy. But a lot of my clients are nonprofits or small businesses. Why would I put a giant, you know, flashy moving video on their homepage when usability is extremely important? So I ignore the trend of, you know, giant flashy moving video, and I go for something a little bit more classic. And I think this can extend to the like illustrative style that Darcy was talking about. You know, there's always trends. There's trends in fashion, and there's trends in like food, and there's trends in web design. And I think sometimes you just have to kind of go your own way with that. So instead of using that same illustrative style that you're seeing on like MailChimp comes to mind. I feel like MailChimp started doing it and they use this kind of funky illustrative style, and then like every other online tool came out and they were like, we've got crazy funky illustrations that we're going to put everywhere. And it's great for the illustrators and it does look cool, but they all kind of start to blend. So what looked really original when, say, MailChimp did it, now it's been done so many times that, you know, maybe they stand out less. So I kind of like to take a look at those trends and then see if I can go a different way. Maybe there's a different style that I can find. And there are some tools you can use to buy illustrations. And I'll try to find, I have used a couple and I'm kind of blanking on what those were because I wasn't thinking of mentioning them, but I'll try to find those and then I'll put them in this presentation of places that you can buy graphics. And this is my last real slide here. So coming back to just general like rules of thumb with web design, when in doubt, keep it simple. I see this sometimes with folks getting design done, less so with my clients, but anyway, I have had clients long past who I no longer work with, who have wanted to fill up the white space on a site. And what I mean is, you know, let's take a look back at that. This site, there's a decent amount of white space. I mean, there's not a ton of space between the sections, but there is space, and it makes it so easy to read. It's not overwhelming. I can just scan through quickly and I can read the headings and I can kind of, you know, this section I'm starting to like understand what it is that they do. If I needed to fill all this in with graphics and buttons everywhere and, you know, all kinds of different things, I would be completely lost. I wouldn't understand what this website is about because it would be so overwhelming. So when in doubt, leave it out, and, you know, don't try to fill in white space. Let your design breathe. Let your website breathe. Stick to 1 to 2 fonts. You can even just use one font and then use different weights in that font. A font weight is like bold or normal or light. So sometimes I'll just use something simple like, you know, Open Sans that I mentioned, and they have like at least a dozen weights. So I could use a very light weight and then contrast that with a heavy weight, a bold Open Sans, and it gives a nice contrast, but it's all the same font, so it kind of ties itself together. And kind of same for colors. You can go super crazy with colors. Google uses a bunch of colors. They use kind of the primary colors, but they have probably 4, I think, you know, 3 or 4 colors. I usually choose 2, and then I choose shades of those colors. So if I had a bright green and a bright blue, then I'll choose shades of blue and shades of green. So that's just another way of keeping it manageable. And that is actually all of my slides. So yeah, thanks a lot for letting me do that talk, and I'd love to answer questions.
I don't really, this is William. I go by Bill. John and I go way back
Cool. Hi,
to
Bill.
the Selling Source days. But,
Awesome.
I don't really have a question. I just wanted to comment about the custom photography. That's my business.
Awesome.
I
What's the name of your
specialize in boudoir photography, but I will do other styles as I do in my spare, when I need to do my own little thing, I'll go out and take landscape photos or architecture. I've been to the arts district several times, taking photos of their murals, not astrophotography. But again, as you were talking about the branding, create your own background, your own green screen background with your business on it. That's another way to brand Zoom.
That's right. Yeah, great point, Bill. I think we talked about that a little bit last time. Somebody had like a scrolling one or something with text.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, he had a pretty awesome one.
That
But
was
yeah, I don't have anything specific on my website for doing custom photography, but you can use my contact form if you're interested. It just
Awesome.
happens to be what I've gotten into over the since 2017,
Mhm.
and
Drop
started
a
my
link in
business
the
last year.
drop a link in the chat.
Sure.
Oh, cool.
That's really all I had. It was a great presentation. I had used Canva briefly and need to get back to using it. But some other great resources and information. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill.
Have a
Yeah,
quick-
that's great. Yeah, I think it's really great for people to use local photographers, like photographers local to them. So Bill could be a resource for folks in Vegas.
Lydia, I have a quick question for you.
Hi.
I know you're using Adobe, and I have to purchase the Adobe Creative Suite myself. So
Mhm.
my client actually introduced me to Canva. So I've been using Canva more just to interact with her because she had a higher level. She was paid and I was unpaid, so I kind of had to go paid just to get, just to work with her. But Spark with Adobe has almost a competing software, and I'm wondering, and I'm finding it all of a sudden way easier to just do some stuff in Canva that I did in Photoshop, because I could resize with a click. But
Mhm.
I'm wondering if you've used Spark as well. And I've used Spark for video editing for clients. What's your thoughts on moving? I'm never going to get rid of Adobe because I have to have it, but I'm just curious as a designer whether you find yourself going this way as well.
I'm so glad that you brought this up because I have not used Adobe Spark, and it's one of those on my list for December when I shut down for 2 weeks and don't do client work, but I'm still actually working on my own stuff. So that is really interesting. I've been wanting, I think I downloaded it on my phone also to do video, and I didn't really know that it was kind of a double for Canva. So that's really interesting. So they're saying, yeah, social graphics.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth between all three. The Adobe, and then I'm using Adobe Spark I like the branding part of it, the clients, but I haven't gone into the branding of Canva, but I like the branding part where you can say, okay, this is for this client, and it pulls everything in, the logos and it makes suggestions. So I like their video because it's hooked in with Adobe's video, which is, what is it now? I took a class on Premiere Rush. So that's interesting, but I go to Canva a lot more for everyday graphics now.
Yeah, I'm using Canva a lot because it's exactly what you're saying. Like, my clients are on there and it's a tool that they can easily use. So it's like a little awkward for me because, yeah, I'm having to transition. I've got all these files that I've already created for them in Illustrator, and I mostly work in Illustrator, but I'm kind of now, I've sort of started almost selling like a package with Canva where I just take all their branding and I put it in Canva for them. So I load all their photos and all their graphics, and I make a few templates for them. So I'll definitely have to check out Adobe Spark. Canva, if I'm understanding correctly, Canva might still be sort of the way to go because it might not work for a client to log into Spark. I'm assuming that this is something that I would use to create things for them, but
My company uses Spark, and it seems fairly siloed to yourself, and I think also the pricing was kind of pushed me more towards Canva as well.
I pay for the whole Adobe thing, so I think it would be included if you're
You
doing
probably
that,
get it for free, yeah.
But yeah, it looks like it's
Oh, that's not as bad as I remember.
like $10.
Yeah, I'd pay that.
That's not too bad. I guess if you're gonna choose one or the other, it's comparable with Canva. And I will mention that Photoshop, if you just wanted, I think if you just wanted Photoshop or maybe just wanted Illustrator, I think you can get that for like 10 or 15 bucks a month from Adobe. Like I happen to pay for the whole Adobe suite because I kind of have to have it. And I need different aspects of it. But I think if you're a photographer, for instance, you might just want Lightroom.
Yeah, the photographer package is Lightroom and Photoshop, and they throw in a couple other things, but it's like $10 a month.
Cool.
That's what I have.
Yeah, that's a good deal. That's a really good deal. I wish I could get out of my like whatever $59, $60 payment to Adobe at $60 per month, like for life, essentially. I liked the old days when it came on a CD and you bought it, and then it was good for, years until you finally upgraded to the next version. But now I just have to pay. So that's the online licensing for you.
I actually like the licensing better because I feel like I can dive in and dive out when I need it. Thank you so much. This was an awesome presentation. And if anybody has any other questions, please go ahead and throw them in the chat. I'll take over here for a few minutes, and I do want to run through one thing I just wanted to show you guys because it came up thanks to good old Black Friday, which was awesome. I hope you guys all went out and spent a whole bunch of money on Black Friday stuff. Hey, Lydia, would you mind stopping your screen share? And then I'm going to show you, so the first thing I want to show you is I want to show you an additional color tool that I use that I am just so addicted to, and I think it's something that you're going to love. So do you see this little strip over here down the side? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's
this is a tool called SIP, S-I-P, so it's sipapp.com. So up here, I have this little doohickey here, but this is a color picker. So I can just hover over anything, and when I click it, it throws it right over here, and it's now the last one. So this is my color history. But you can also set up different color palettes. So what I do is I set up color palettes for whatever site that I'm working on. So while let's say that I'm working on my own site, here's my two colors. So if I click on this, it copies the hex code into the clipboard. And so then I need the yellow. Cool, let me grab that. I paste that in. Not only can you do hex like this, but you can also change and say, I want the output to be CSS RGB. And so now when I click on this purple, I get the RGB. This is a $5 Mac tool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Blew my mind, John.
Right? Isn't that awesome? And then this, you could pick it up and drop it wherever you want. So if you want it across the top, across the bottom, multiple monitors, have it wherever. But so the ones that you're actively working on, the clients that you're actively working on, you can have those locked to the sidebar. And then when you're done with them, you can just come in here and, oops, I did not do that. You go like that, and now it's no longer on there.
That is amazing, and I'm gonna buy it like right now.
Is that in the App Store, or you have to download it from the?
I think you have to go to sipapp.io.
Okay.
Something. I think that's it. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, hey, you can even try it for free. But, oh, it's $10. Sorry, I lied. It's 10. Still.
Is that like one time?
I think I've only paid for it one time. Yeah. It's not like an annual thing. So, okay. I'm glad that you brought up Stripe. So I'm going to do a quick little demo of, I don't know if you guys know what I do. So first off, I have a full-time job, but then through Vegas Geek, I also do a bunch of WordPress support, maintenance, etc., ongoing. So I have a fair number of monthly subscription clients. So they just pay me monthly to manage their site for them. This is awesome. You can set this up, like I have mine all set up through a website where if you go to my intake form, I now have it set up so when you fill out this form, down at the bottom, you can just pick like whichever package you want, and this sets it up for any of the like the monthly retainers. This will automatically set it up and start charging you monthly for in Stripe. Awesome, super simple. Love, love, love it. And I do that through that's a Gravity form with the Stripe add-on, and it's super simple. The problem that I run into about 3 times a year, and every time it comes up, it's a big pain in the butt, is a client will say, how do I update my credit card? Because we got a new one, my credit card expired, it got stolen, whatever. And the problem is, Stripe doesn't have a super simple way, like just off the shelf. You can't just say, go to Stripe and click here and go do it. What they do offer is a nice API. I don't know about you. I'm a developer. It's what I do for the past 25 years. And telling me that I have to go build it myself, I'm a nerd, so I'm probably going to, but this is a big pain in the ass. It sucks. So I started working on this, and I'm actually, I've kind of got it working because the way that it works is actually pretty crazy. You have to do a call out to Stripe, get like a instant token get created. So like, but when I click on this, it does a call out to Stripe, gets some information, comes back, gets other information back from my side, and then it'll actually return the visitor over to the billing portal. And this is in test mode, just so you can kind of see how it works. So I was in the process of building my own kind of custom portal for my clients so that they could log in and then be able to go update this. Because anytime you have to start talking to your clients about credit cards, well, first off, it just sucks. And it's also a great opportunity for them to go, you know what, I'm going to not, maybe this is an expense that I didn't need, especially in like a year of COVID where everybody's, kind of freaking out about dollars, and rightfully so. So I started down this path. And it's all well and good, but it's a lot of work for something that's probably going to get used maybe 2 or 3 times a year. There is a plugin called WP Simple Pay, and this is built by the same folks that build Restrict Content Pro, Easy Digital Downloads. Basically, this is it's coming from as good as it gets. Like, these are some of the best developers in the WordPress community. And what they've done is they've kind of, in the process, they've built out this really awesome tool for, oh, I should have gone to this first. Here you go. So depending on whatever kind of form that you need to set up on your website, so if you wanted like a very simple embedded form for people to pay you this way, or you could do it through Stripe Checkout, which they could click here and then send them over to there. If you needed to set up an easy subscription, you could do it through, here's the main one, or if you needed some with options, etc. Lots of different options that you can set up. So basically everything under the sun, super simple to set up one of these forms. Until just after Black Friday, or right in that same week, they announced a brand new version which now allows for an easy way for your customers. So here's, I've added it to, this is on my site, it's just a simple form in test mode. But this, let me just show this to you behind the scenes. So this is a test subscription. Actually, I'll show you this one here. So this is how I created that form that you just saw, which is, here's a simple test. It's in test mode. This is a one-time amount. for a monthly subscription, and I'm going to use Stripe Checkout. If you wanted to add custom fields, you can. Stripe Checkout display, subscription options. Maybe this is, it's this one, test subscription. Sorry. Subscription options. Okay, so this is a single plan, and you pick whichever of your products, and this is pulling from your list of products over on Stripe. So this is for the test one. You could set up if you wanted to have like an initial fee, and then this is the monthly. And if you said this is going to be like, we're going to charge them for 3 months and then it ends. So you can set all of that up. And then on the front end, this is just a short code that you drop in. Well, where this got super awesome is in the settings field over here under emails. Is it here? Yes, okay. So down here is a whole list of additional fields that you have the option of sending or of including. So this is when somebody signs up, if it's a one-time payment, this is the email that they'll receive. So this will be their payment receipt. But in the subscription, you can also now set up, so here's the email that they would get, but you have an option for the update payment method URL. So when you, when they click on this link, and let me see if I have, let's see if I can pull this up in my email. Found one. Oh, crud. Sorry. Should have really thought of this about this part before I. Yes, got it. Okay. So this is what the email now looks like when they get it. Thank you for your purchase, blah, blah, blah. And then here's a link where I can now go to have them. So if you'll notice, this is still on my website. They're not actually going to Stripe. They're coming right here where it says, you know, thanks for your purchase. You purchased from me, the date that they purchased, the initial payment, blah, blah, blah. But then down here, they also have the opportunity to update their credit card information right here. They do have the option for canceling the subscription, and you can actually turn that on or off, whether or not you want it. So I'll probably be turning that off before I use it. Because again, you want to make it easy for them to be able to continue paying. Maybe we make it a little harder for them to cancel. But anyway, so this is, if you didn't already buy it, I strongly suggest if you're looking to do subscription payments and you're really trying to eliminate as much friction as possible, this plugin, WP Simple Pay, is fantastic. I will say one little, I did mention it in my Black Friday list, but the pricing for this is a little spendy, but it's only 99 bucks a year. So it really just depends on how often you need to have this. But I do love the ultimate one-time payment ever, lifetime, 500 bucks and you're done. But all you got to do is just get this plus a couple of clients, and you charge 2 clients 250 bucks a piece to set this up, and you've now paid for your own license from now till the end of time. So yeah.
So John, I have a question for you. I don't necessarily have subscriptions, but I do payment plans, and it looked like I could specify, okay, say we've set up a payment plan for $150 over 12 months. I could set it up to stop after the 12th payment, and then they would be paid in full.
True story. Absolutely.
Perfect.
You could definitely do that.
I definitely will have to look into this because I do have Stripe as one of my payment gateways.
Yeah.
Um,
You
I
could
just
absolutely
signed up
do
for
that.
it
So
earlier.
you could just make it so that the payment length for that person is 12 months. And on when I do stuff like that, and I've done this, I've done it through Gravity Forms typically before, but I would just create a separate unique form for that client and then put it on a page and maybe password protect that page and have the client go there. They could get in with a password that you give them. But yeah, totally simple to just add
Yeah,
this on your.
I could do it that way. So I'm looking at starting where my clients or somebody would come in and, get one of my packages, but they can't afford, $2,500 all in one shot or $5,000 in one shot, but they want to spread it out.
Yep.
Doing payment plans in advance so that and then once they're paid off, then they can book their photo session. So
That's awesome. Yep.
that would be more of a general form. If they order this package, this is the form you use to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is
Yeah,
perfect.
subscriptions or something like that, even though it's not really a subscription, but like a payment plan. Heck yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thanks.
Yep. All right. That's it for the pre-recorded, pre-planned version of the evening. We've got about 20 minutes. So anybody have any questions about WP Simple Pay, WordPress in general? What the heck we're going to do next year? Actually, it's a great question, which is there, we're always asking, what do people want to learn about? What type of presentation could we put together that would be helpful to you? And which is kind of how Lydia ended up talking tonight. Darcy wanted some information about some stuff, and we kind of voluntold Lydia, and it was great. And by the way, Lydia, I don't know if you noticed this. You told me, oh, I don't know, maybe I could talk for like 10 minutes or so. So I knew that this was going to be a subject that was going to be one of those that was going to be popular. So again, thank you for that. So
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions? If not, I'm going to go drink beer.
I came in a little late. Do you want to talk about the latest version of WordPress, Simone?
Nope. I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. Yes, absolutely. So we just had WordPress 5.6 come out. I only have it installed on one site, and it is a little site that I build for testing out projects. And this is at work every day. I have to enter my time at the end of the day, and we use a third-party tool whose interface I hate. I think I probably even showed this off maybe last month, but I absolutely hate the other interface, but I like mine better. And so this is a quick little poll, but I did switch this over so that I could use the new theme, and I really like the cleanliness of this. I will say that I'm not a huge fan of the overly like these are some gigantor buttons here. But anyway, this is the new theme. What's that? Oh, you know what? I can't go to that page. Sorry, that's actually some live data over there. But yeah, so this is the form. But I could go into. So there are a couple of features in here that oh shoot, never mind. One of the features I'm not even going to show you, but let's go take a quick look at. Let's add a page here. Let's add a photo. Or not. Okay. Let's grab something from. Yeah, this is, and I think with every single version that comes out, you just end up with a better and better experience with Gutenberg. Just go take a little look here. Pop this open. But again, I'm a big fan of this new theme. I think it's got a really clean look to it. That open space is just, for me, I think it's fantastic. But one of the main features that they added behind the scenes is a very nerdy thing having to do with the adding API management kind of right at the user level, which is kind of handy. But that is something that not a lot of people will use. But if you do need it, it's fantastic, and I'm stoked that it's there. I've now updated all of my clients to the new version, and I have had 0 problems across the board. I don't know if anybody else has run into anything, but yeah, it's been super clean. It's nice and fast. They've got, again, I love looking at some of the design choices they make, like even just like the hovers that go to the dots. Like they're just neat little things that are just slightly off center. The customizer, like so much stuff is now moving into the customizer. You could switch to, this is kind of fun, where you could just switch to dark mode. I like that. Set a main background color, set background images, site identity. Where is the? I actually thought there was a little bit more in there. There's not. But again, just a super simple, clean theme, and no downtime for any clients, which is always that's a happy day. Have you started using it, Chris?
No, I've been doing other stuff.
Gotcha.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
I think you maybe were just mentioning this, but I wonder if you could talk about I think it's called Heartbeat API.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that. I'm somewhat ashamed to say that I have no idea what that is, but I've like noticed it in a few different places, and I don't know if that was an ad with like 5.0 or.
No, Heartbeat API has been around kind of forever. Not forever, but quite a while. But it's also one of those things that 99.9% of WordPress users will never use. It's way more of a how are things going behind the scenes. This is maybe what you may be talking about is something slightly different, which is the site health status.
I think it's in there. I think if you go to that screen, like I just remember seeing it. It wasn't just like, blog post. It was like listed inside the dashboard somewhere. And
interesting.
I didn't know what it was talking about.
Yeah. This is, if you have not used the site health tool, this is a developer's best friend. I just had a client who they let somebody else go in and it was like they let their cousin's nephew or whatever go in, and he added a couple of WooCommerce related plugins that I had never heard of. And all of a sudden, their site was basically looping on itself. So every time WooCommerce was loading, it was basically trying to load stuff a second time and a third time. And their site speed basically went down to molasses. And so it would have been something that would have been almost impossible to find had I not looked in here. But when I went to their tools and their site health, this is a local site, so there's not, I don't really care too terribly much about it, but you will see it'll typically have, so here are the recommended improvements, but above that, if there are any issues, it will tell you, hey, this is an urgent issue. You need to get this fixed because something is wrong with your site. And a lot of times it will even give you some information about how to fix or where to even start looking to go clean that up. And so this right here behind the scenes is almost certainly using the Heartbeat API at some point for the way that it pulls stuff. This is also one of those things where I will tell people not to go ballistic and feel like you have to go get rid of every single thing in here, because you should remove inactive themes. You should remove inactive plugins. I agree with both of those statements, 100%. However, if you remove all of your inactive themes, I think it'll give you a different warning, which is you should have a backup theme just in case something goes wrong. And I'm like, what do you want from me, pal? Like, which way do you want me to go? So these are great guidelines, and most often time, like this, if you were on a live site and it says your site does not have HTTPS, this is a fire drill. Go fix that immediately. But obviously on a local site, I care a lot less. So, but yeah, so the site health tool is pretty fantastic. The one I was actually talking about, I'll show you. Is this. So down here, this only shows up if your site is on HTTPS. If you're on HTTP, it won't even show up. But let's just say that you were trying to set up like a custom REST API endpoint, and you only wanted people who had like an admin level user account could use it. So I can come in here and say, I'm creating a new application, and it will now give me this right here, and it'll only show this to me once. So like if I hit refresh, that goes away, and my only options are to revoke it. So I've saved it. So now this is my password for this API. So on this particular site, I have, this is some stuff that I built here. I've built a whole bunch of different APIs. So these are different APIs that this is the payload that got sent to us, and then this is the response that was sent back to them. But all of those, the way that we did it here is we created a very specific user called API user. So we've created this API user who is an admin, and then that particular user has a API password attached to it. So we have 3 different websites that all call and pull in data. They either pass in data or they pull data from here. And when that happens, they have to have that API password. Excuse me. And so that was actually a third-party plugin that they just rolled into core during this last release, which was super cool. Let's see. What else? I don't even know. I'm excited to see the state of the word tomorrow. I think that's going to be pretty cool. If anybody, we are getting kind of close to the end here, so I will say, thanks for a fantastic year. This has been a pretty crappy year in a lot of ways. It's also been kind of a great year in some weird ways. I've strengthened a lot of relationships with a lot of people because we've had to, we couldn't necessarily meet in person, so we ended up having, conferences for me are a way that I meet a ton of people. I've probably met half the people in here because of conferences, except for Bill. Bill and I worked together 100 years ago. So when you take that out of the equation, you end up having to do other things. And so you end up having some kind of deeper conversations with people in one-on-one settings. And so this year has been an interesting year of maybe the best and the worst all kind of roll into one. So you guys are all a big part of that because this is my community, and I am a big, big fan of you all showing up every month to hang out and do this. We're going to continue doing this next year, and it will be still, hopefully, third Wednesday of every month from 6 to 8. And if you guys have any suggestions for how we make this better, things that you want to see, things you don't want to see, topics, would you guys be interested in day-long, half-day courses? Let me know. I love putting that type of stuff together. I'm a nerd about it. So this is my way of giving back to a community that has kind of given me an absolute ton over the past 16 years. And I like to pay it forward. So with that, I will say happy holidays and be safe. Stay home unless you have to. Wear a mask. And we'll see you guys next year.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Happy holidays, everybody.
And this video will be up in 3 days, give or take.
Awesome.
All right. Have a good night.
Night.